Hey everyone on YouTube, how is everyone doing? So this is the third Tanto that I made using the burnt wood for the scales as well as for the stand and the sheath. And I'm holding this camera by hand, so it's going to be a little shaky, so I apologize for that. It's the third one that I've made and probably the best one that I've made. The fittings were ordered from Japan by the customer, and he wanted me to fit them to the project, and they came out pretty darn good, keeping in mind that, let me hit focus, keeping in mind that the wood is burnt, it's charred, so it's going to shrink, it's going to warp, it's going to, you're going to lose some of the wood because of ash as well, and the drying process. So to get the fittings to fit very close to the final dimensions require basically a little bit of finesse, a lot of luck, and experience. And since this is my third one, I have to admit that the experience was a little lacking in terms of I wasn't too sure what was going to happen, how much of it was going to burn off, basically. But you can see the fit and finish is very good. It's a little off here. It just didn't burn enough. And when you're burning the wood, if you concentrate the flame too much on one side, you end up burning too much wood, and you end up with a divot. It's a silver-plated, it's either nickel silver or silver-plated fittings. Aluminum pin. This is a 6061 T6 aluminum, hardened aluminum. And the strength of this aluminum is in between copper and brass. Brass being stronger, and then the aluminum, and then copper being the softest. Let's say this again in case I messed up. Brass being the hardest, then the aluminum, a little softer, and then copper being the softest of the three. The guard here, called a tsuba, is also made out of aluminum, and then so is the habaki, which gives you the press fit in the sheath. Trying not to move the camera too fast and trying to keep it steady. It's a little cold outside. So that's the sheath. So that is pretty much the dimensions of that habaki, the collar. So it gives you the press fit inside. The sheath is also charred wood, and this charred wood is a Japanese style which they use for shingles, believe it or not, and they use cedar. And I'll put the terms below for the name for this charred wood finish, and one of the words, it's a direct translation meaning charred cedar. So for this project I use cedar. And I'm not familiar with the wood, so I didn't have any experience with it, but I kind of lucked out. I noticed a lot of shrinking occurring, so I had to fill the gap and rough it up, fill the gap with epoxy and with CA glue, and then rough it up to kind of get rid of the sheen. That was kind of tricky. Finished the wood with a couple of layers of polyurethane because I wanted to protect the ash so it doesn't, right now it's protected, but in terms of durability, it's ash, so it's not going to be as good as, your natural wood. And this is cedar, and cedar is soft. So again, it's a soft wood and burnt. So what I'm trying to get at. It's not the hardest of woods, and burning it didn't help. But it is coated with a wood hardener and then polyurethane to protect it. If I put additional coats, it's going to start getting a little shiny. And from my experience, that does not look too nice. The shiny wood. And you don't want to fill the cracks with the polyurethane because then you lose that three-dimensional texture. The stand is also cedar. By the way, this is an American cedar. This one is a Spanish cedar. I would have made everything with a Spanish cedar. But I ran out of the stuff and I couldn't get any more, so I had to rely on this. On the whatever I can get a hold of, which was American cedar, combination of both. The stands here are made out of oak, and the reason why I used oak is because I wanted the finish. I was hoping that the finish, and I think I achieved that. I wanted the finish to look different than the actual scales and the stand. Otherwise, everything looks the same. It will look like a lot of burnt wood with the same kind of texture, same kind of grain. So I wanted some variability, just to have things offset or complement each other. So the handle, which is the tsuka, is the same as the sheath, as it should be, because when you put it together, you want it to look the same. This is oak, and then this has a different texture. Let me bring the camera over, and you can see it's got a different texture, just so it doesn't look too much of the same. And the reason why I used oak is because oak is a harder wood, and I deeply charred it, so it really looks, and I'm not too sure if the contrast is going to let me focus. I really charred it so that you could see that it's burnt, and I wanted something strong so it doesn't fall apart. I've got a screw that holds it in place, and the deep cracks in it, so I needed something strong. And again, it's hardened as well. Let me put this down for a second. Let me just hold it in my hand so you've got some idea of the size of this Tanto. It's a slightly larger than your typical Tanto. It has a rock pattern, or flintstone pattern. The waviness of the pattern, let me put it back this way so you can see the other side. The waviness of this pattern was done to simulate a hamon. So let me just flip it over again so you can look at the pattern. This is what the customer wanted. I'm going to shift out my weight over here. This is what the customer wanted. He wanted the pattern focused. It's not focusing for me now. Let me pan back. He wanted the waviness to simulate a hamon. And I think of the three that I've made so far, this is my best habaki that I've made, and best hamon pattern or rock pattern, and the best charred wood. So basically, yeah, this, with practice, you know, you would hope things get better. So I'm going to pause this for a second. I got my son coming. Okay, so here it is with the sheath or seiya and the knife together. Just wanted to do a little panning around. I know I'm moving the camera a lot, shaking the camera, but definitely want to pan around as much as I can so you can see it from all different angles. Trying to keep this video short. Alright, so kind of sad to let this one go because a lot of hours of work, a lot of experimentation, and things worked out pretty good. I know, I'm patting myself in the back. Can't help myself. I just love this one. Also, if you notice what I did differently about the stand, is that I made the I don't know, what would you call this? The fork part, this part here, a little shorter than that one. I did that because this way, when you have it installed, when you're mounting it this way, it doesn't protrude too much and block. It is still sturdy. It's custom fit for this project, but you really don't need all that. It's not, you know, this is not going to be rocking around, so it doesn't take away from the sheath. Also, if you notice, I offset the position of the stand or the forks or whatever, pushed it back so you could actually display the sheath on this stand and then the knife on the forks. I'm shaking the camera too much. All right, so everyone, I hope you're having a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed watching or looking at this project. I don't think anyone has seen anything like this before. Pretty glad how it came out, and it's going to be shipped out in a little while. Okay, everyone, have a great weekend, and to all, have a great knife.